Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. So I took a little time off this last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Nothing too awful happened with him gone.
Yeah, place is still standing. Not that I was worried at all. And then I came back and dove right back in, went to Superman, read a ton of comic books, and it's been a very fun re-entry. So we've got some great picks this week. Let's get started with your pick, Fritz.
Yeah. So my pick this week is Space Ghost Johnny Quest Space Quest issue 2. So I'm sure a lot of the regulars here have noticed that like Dynamite stuff has been kind of like sporadic in terms of coming out. That was due to them still being with Diamond, and Diamond was going through their whole bankruptcy thing. And that's a whole other story. But the main takeaway is that now Dynamite is over at Lunar, so their stuff is actually like coming out on time.
Yes.
And so if anyone's been waiting on a Dynamite book, those are going to be coming out much more regularly. You're not going to have to be like, where's this thing I've been reading and enjoying? Like,
I'm interested to see if that means that Dynamite's going to cut down on the number of variants, because I know that was at least I had read that was a sticking point for why they weren't switching distributors sooner.
Yeah.
Because Diamond was the only one willing to play that game with them. But we'll see.
Yeah. But so now that we've got some of these books coming back, it's been a couple months since issue 1 came out. And that got delayed from when it was supposed to come out, but we finally got issue 2. And if you can tell from the cover and the title, something has happened where now the cast of Johnny Quest and the cast of Space Ghost have kind of like swapped with each other. So you've got Johnny, Haji, and Bandit are somehow now out in space hanging out with Space Ghost. Jan, Jason, Blip are on Earth hanging out with Dr. Quest. Race is off doing a whole other thing, like not even like doesn't even know what's happening, which is really funny. But no, it's by the same team who did the Johnny Quest miniseries from last year. And they're so good together. Joe Casey and Sebastian Perez they really get the vibe of both series, because like with Johnny Quest 1, like it became super obvious very quick, like they like get this kind of like this like action adventure, but they're like a family thing going. And here like instantly like this book does not feel out of pace with the Space Ghost comic that Dynamite's been doing either. So the fact that you can just like this team can so seamlessly slip into that as well, because every time you do like a crossover book, there's always like how are they going to handle this character or something like that. Like there's always that kind of like fear, and absolutely no concern here with that. Just like pure fun. There's this like great montage sequence where Race is like kind of roped into this little like side quest, and it's a bunch of different like little action scenes that could honestly each have been their own issue, but it's just done massively, just showing like how they like kind of like build off of each other. And it sounds like next issue she's going to show up and be like, what did I miss? Why is there a monkey with a jetpack? Like, and that's also part of the fun of just like, because these were two of like the really big like action cartoons that Hanna-Barbera did back in the day. Like obviously like Hanna-Barbera is mostly known for more of that kind of like comedic stuff like Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, Flintstones, that kind of thing. But they did like a fair amount of action cartoons too, and these were like the big ones. And so like having them mash up, and it's not the first time that they've done that. Like DC, when they had the comics a couple years ago, did some similar stuff. But this really, that was kind of more like we're setting up like a shared universe thing. This is more of like, what happens if you do like just take these two cartoons and kind of like have them like mishmash, and it is this like kind of like weird, like they shouldn't really work together, but they somehow do kind of thing. And so it's introducing some new threats. There's this like Earth General that's like, I want to know what this spaceship is about. There's this guy who's got like a nightmare planet that like Space Ghost and the kids have to go investigate. There's constantly like something that they're having to deal with, and it's fun seeing them have to juggle like all these like balls of like, how do we like get our people back? How do we deal with like all these threats? It's super fun. And Perez just does such a good job of illustrating all of it. I'm so happy this book is back. I hope after this that we get more, whether it's more of them teaming up or if it's just like a Johnny Quest book. Like we have mentioned a couple times before when we've had these kind of books on the different cartoon books that Dynamite's been doing, whether it's this, there's a new Gargoyles book out this week. I know a lot of people are excited for.
Yeah, Herculoids.
Yep, Herculoids. Like it'd be so easy to like just treat these as like, oh, these are just kind of like old IP that like we'll just kind of rope in some like the old nerds or whatever. Yeah. But no, there's like real thought and care being put into these as much as like can possibly be done, and I appreciate that.
There's the Thundar the Barbarian coming, right?
They keep saying it's going to happen, and I don't. They haven't really said anything outside like, yeah, we want to do one. Like
that has got to happen because Jack Kirby was the a creative consultant on that show.
So was Gil Kane. There were a bunch of comic people who like worked on it.
Roy Thomas worked.
Yeah,
on it.
like it's a. If ever there was like a cartoon that demanded to have like a comic version of it, it's that. My personal, I'm crossing my fingers. I don't know if this is going to happen because
Wacky Racers.
I did. They did. Yeah, they did do a Wacky Racers one. No, I'm my fingers are crossed for Pirates of Dark Water.
Oh, that's a Disney property, isn't it?
I don't think that's Disney. I'm pretty sure that's. I'm pretty sure that was a Hanna-Barbera.
Was it? I loved that show.
Yeah,
it got like 3 seasons. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, it went longer than that because it came up in conversation recently. If you remember Pirates of Dark Water, please either comment or let us know when you come in. Like, yeah. But no, that's like if they're going to keep doing this, I'd love for that to happen.
Yeah, that had such a cool kind of spooky kind of piratey vibe.
I always want to know what Minga melons tasted like.
Yep. I hear you. Yeah, it's kind of a. It kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they would kind of mishmash things like
together. There's like certain these fantastical elements that like you recognize, but then there's like different like new stuff. Yeah.
Weird. No. Okay, that was the longest anybody's talked about Pirates of Darkwater online in decades.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
But enough of some old stuff. Here's some new stuff.
Yes. So I went with Imperial number 2. Mm-hmm. Probably not a big surprise to anybody who knows me. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Hickman, yes. Mm-hmm. Nova, yes. All right. Space, yes. You had me. Mm-hmm. We were just talking earlier about how in the first episode we get this setup for this whole plot, right? And basically what's happening is leaders of these different intergalactic worlds,
empires.
Yeah, there you go.
Like all these different the great powers of the galaxy
have been assassinated, and there's a wave of assassinations that gets everybody to come together to talk about these assassinations. And then there's a bunch more assassinations.
More assassinations, more than you can shake a stick at.
Right, exactly. And it's heavily implied that Wakanda is behind it. So what are you going to do but go confront Wakanda? And we skip ahead a little bit between issue 1 and issue 2, and particularly the Shi'ar are throwing down. And things get messy fast. And this is what I love about the Marvel big theater galactic type of books, where when the crap hits the fan and there's stuff blowing up here and there's ships over there and you've got all these different players, and it feels like one of those, like, I don't know, a scene in Star Trek when like all the siren and the red light are going off, and there's, you've got the people in the control room and the people in the engineering room, and, and stuff is just havoc and chaos. It felt just crazy and energetic, and you're trying to figure, like, in the back of your head, there's something telling you, like, there's something more at play here. Obviously, it's Hickman, so nobody knows what's happening. But then, on top of that, you've got the chessboard aspect of this, right? So we've got 2 game players that are above all of this, that are orchestrating how everything's working.
I have a pretty good feeling who one of them is, for sure.
We've talked about that, and I think you're right there. We don't know really who they are, and we only kind of know which pieces they're pushing where,
or even what their like plan is exactly. Like, obviously they want like some kind of conflict, but as to what end, who can say? Right,
could be, because with these types of players, it could be for personal gain. More likely, it's just for entertainment. So it's really interesting. So now, at the end of this, we have put a number of our characters in a very precarious situation, which again, that's another storytelling dynamic that I really like, because we're going to have some separation of a small group of characters who now have some leverage and ability to be able to do something, although their odds are going to be stacked against them greatly. And then a whole bunch of people who are kind of sitting cooling their heels trying to figure out what the heck do we do. We've kind of been taken off the board. And I couldn't be more excited about how that delineation happened.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well, like you mentioned before, like I love how much of this issue particularly is about just like the chaos of it all. Like there's constantly like there's like a couple characters fighting. One of them is just like, you know why I'm here, and the other one's like, I really don't. Like I don't. Why is this happening, man?
The scene where the two characters get revealed to that other character was so great. Like everything's going exactly the way. Oh, damn it!
And like it's so fun, and like you were talking about, like it's kind of like setting up all these little like threads, because like if you don't know, there's going to be there's this, and then there's going to be a couple one shots that like kind of spin out of like the various events of the book.
Yeah, when do those start dropping?
Next month, I believe. So
it's going to really start picking up.
Yeah,
pace here.
so there's going to be a Black Panther one shot, a She-Hulk one shot, a Nova one shot, a Professor X and Larandra one shot, and the most recent one they just announced. I believe they're calling it the Imperial Guardians, and it's going to be, but it's got like a couple, like Captain Marvel's going to be in it, a couple other characters, and it's going to be written by Dan Abnett, who,
fantastic.
Yeah, so it's cool getting to see him kind of like dip his toes back into the space stuff.
Yes, well, and did such a fantastic job of setting up, what was, what basically turned into the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and blew up all of those characters because, Rocket and Groot and Star-Lord, and none of them were much of anything before.
Yeah, and it's especially interesting because, like, San Diego's next week, so, like, we're definitely going to get some kind of announcement of, like, okay, what happens after Imperial? Like, what's, like, the next phase? Because all we really know is that apparently... So, like, Hickman's doing this. He doesn't seem like he's actually going to be involved with, like, the books that come after. He's kind of like, I'm setting the table. You guys do what you want with it.
That seems to be kind of the way that Marvel is positioning him.
Yeah. He's kind of like, I make this interesting, like, thing for everyone else to play with. Now you go play with it.
He's running out of areas that he hasn't touched.
Marvel. Where Hickman's Defender, where's that?
I don't know.
I love him when he writes Namor, so that'd be a great fit.
That would be, I mean, it would revitalize. I mean, it was never a fantastic. I mean, it was always cool stylistically. Story-wise, Champions, Defenders.
They're always just kind of there.
Yeah. It was the 70s. It was
Alpha Flight.
Man. Alpha Flight would be cool.
Hickman's Alpha Flight.
It's so tied to the X-Men, though.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, well, we digress. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on then. Buy this book. We've still got lots of copies of number 1. If you didn't read Manhunt, or X-Manhunt, sorry, that's helpful but not necessary. I liked this so much that I went and read all the issues because I was just kind of catching it in the ones that I was reading. But I think that's going to have I think it adds to the backstory of what's about to happen. Although very little of that has been tied into.
We're only
but you know that it's going to.
Yeah, we're only just getting there.
It's the tip of the iceberg, man.
Yeah, speaking of the tip of the iceberg, we've got Absolute Batman issue 10 to the surprise of really no one. I don't think there's been an issue of this that hasn't been up here.
Yeah, so Batman is DC's best-selling character. Spider-Man is Marvel's best-selling character. But I am still surprised that Absolute Batman and Ultimate Spider-Man are as good as they are, because they are head and shoulders better than just about any other solo character books out there.
It's wild. And I know part of that is one of the big things again with all these Absolute and Ultimate books is they can just take this thing and then just run with it in such a different direction, or just a direction that has such purpose behind it. This issue is such a good examination of Absolute Bruce, just in terms of how far is he willing to go, how much is he willing to put up with to actually do what he thinks needs to be done as Batman. This is, And like, this is a guy who's being put through the ringer, and despite it all, somehow finding a way to get back up.
It's bonkers, and it was so frustrating, you know, watching him just continually try to fight against impossible odds. Like, I mean, you know, he's just in an impossible situation, and yet.
So last issue we saw him, frankly, just get absolutely wrecked by Bane. Like, absolute Bane, if you couldn't tell from this cover, is just like...
This is before he gets jacked up.
Yeah, like, he... like. There's a great bit later in this where like there's a fight and something happens with him. It's just like, oh, you know, that would happen. Like he's that big. That would be the consequence of that.
So it's really interesting because I've had a couple people come to me and say like, I had to start this book because I saw the absolute Bane thing, and I was not disappointed because that scene where he crushes that dude's head just like blew everybody's minds, and I was like. How are you sleeping on this book until issue 9?
Dude, it's... I mean, to be fair, I feel like everyone's always got that book where it's just like, oh, maybe I'll check it out. And like, they spend all this time hearing all this good stuff. And then once they get there, just like, I don't know why.
Did I wait so long?
It's like, but no, this book. So Bruce is captured. He's in Arc M in like this like crazy underground facility where like he breaks out and finds all like, it's got these like, they keep referring to them as like habitats.
Yes.
And like...
So they're experimenting.
Yeah, they're experimenting. There's certainly some faces that might be familiar. Maybe not the faces, the names. The faces are...
Yeah, or even just references.
Yeah, a lot more horrifying than you might be used to with some of them.
Turns out that a lot of the characters in Batman's orbit can be horror characters very easily. Yeah.
And there's one in particular who shows up like at the end of this issue where like we kind of knew that they were going to be here just because of like why he's there and everything, but like, God, that design is so cool. Like I talk about this a lot with this book, like how like cool Dragotta makes everything look, but oh my God, because like when he was just like, oh, it's like when you see like the design, like how like the neck and everything, and then just like, oh, but there's its head, and just like, oh, it's like everything is just.
I'm not gonna lie, it kind of reminded me of Lizard from Amazing Spider-Man a little bit in the face.
I can see it. I can see it. Yeah, no, it's like
just that part. The rest of it was...
I love, and there's just little bits that are like they're like when he's like running through the hall, the little like tum 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 tum. So like just really like illustrate just like how like because Bruce is a big guy in this world, and then just like constantly like having these panels where he's just like so tiny against everything else. Like just illustrate like
and
how deep
they straight up tell you he's like 6'9" and like 300 something pounds or something. You know, so he's a massive dude.
Yeah, and just this whole arc has been just kind of about illustrating just like no matter like how big he is physically, no matter how big he is just like in terms of like his presence, like there's so much more out there that like he doesn't like. That's just bigger than him.
So I think that's kind of, it's interesting because they're tackling one of the problems that kind of comes up with Batman in comics and more so in films. We actually, so Superman mentioned, Comic Club last night was talking about how like, you know, it's tough to get Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman's world on the screen. You can do it on paper easily, but on screen, he's kind of like Hawkeye in the Avengers. It's like, what's this dude gonna do against Darkseid? You know, here they're kind of tackling that head on. Like, yeah, you're super smart, and yeah, you've trained your body to be an amazingly physical, capable person. But there are just some things where it's like, dude, you're just a guy.
Yeah.
Like, there are bigger, badder things out there. And that's the part, is watching him struggle and succeed. You know?
That's the thing. Like, if nothing else, success is never giving up. And, like, boy, howdy, does this man not know how to give up, whether it's good for him or not.
And neither does his mom, apparently.
No, yeah, I love.
That's an interesting story arc.
Yeah, because this book takes place over the course of like a couple months, and like she's just like constantly out there like
9 by the end.
Or
90 days.
Yeah, 90 days. Yeah,
3
and
months,
like she's constantly out there trying to be like, where's my son? I gotta find my son. Like because that's the thing. If you're gonna like have this dynamic where like you've got like this character who's like, the whole thing is parents are dead, you've got a parent around, so like you've got to like lean to like, okay, what does that relationship mean here then? And like I really like what they've done with that so far.
Yeah, me too.
And like this book just again there's a reason it's up here all the time. There's a reason it's probably, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'd be shocked if you told me there was any book we have that's like a hotter seller.
Oh yeah, so I'll show you the results of sales in I think it was Q4 2024. We've got a trade magazine that I can show you what individual issues had the highest number of sales. I was surprised.
I feel like I can guess a couple of them.
I mean, like I was surprised by a little bit of it and not surprised by a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
All right, so what else? I know that there was a bunch of books, a whole bunch of new things that came out this week that we both also enjoyed. What else was close to making it to the table?
There's a new book from Image called Ghost Pepper.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very like I'm liking on it. So it's writer and artist. They did that recent issue. I think it's right there behind you if you want to grab me a copy so I can double check. Because it's a French guy.
Ludo Lullaby?
I think that's how you say that. Yeah. But he did the recent Megatron-centric issue of Transformers from a couple months ago. He's done a bunch of other stuff. He talked about in here how he actually originally was an artist for video games. He liked doing cutscenes and character designs and stuff. And this is his first real kind of stab at doing his own comic over here. It's this kind of cool post-apocalypse world where there's this monster that's just hanging out on the moon. Yeah. There's these robot sentries that work for the government. There's this guy who it's kind of unclear if he knows even what he is. There's a lady with a cool food truck. There's a bunch going on, and like we were saying, absolutely gorgeous.
Well, and the mythos that they're hinting at behind all of this seems really cool. So this is a book that I think Corey's probably going to like this one.
Yeah, I can see that.
It just is going to come down to whether the art, because sometimes the stylistic art can, strike him in a good way or maybe not quite hit the mark. But I think stylistically, this is a really cool book. He has
very
range.
It's very 90s in a good way.
In a like Samurai Jack, but with more detail and
there's a bit of a Joe Mad feel to it, which makes sense because he recently did art for Battle Chasers. So,
No, it was really cool and very dynamic. A lot of cool movement and a lot of cool poses. Another good book this week was This Ends Tonight, and so you've got a couple heavy hitters in. Let's see, it was Dugan.
Jay Lee does the art.
Yeah, Jay Lee. Yeah. Very, very cool looking, which, Lee has mostly been doing a lot of variants and stuff.
Yeah, not a lot of interiors for a while now.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long time since I've read a book where he did the interiors, but this was cool. Also kind of a very cool backstory. It's taking place in modern times, but there's some fantasy elements behind it with extraterrestrial object returning and then causing havoc with a bunch of old alliances. That was very cool. What else did you have this week?
A bunch of the usual favorites. Absolute Flash and Ultimate X-Men were great. Nightwing continues to be really fun. This arc is very weird and different from the rest of this run so far, so that's really cool. New Gods almost made it up here. The new issue of New Gods. They're really dealing with Highfather. This whole run has just been kind of him failing at his job, and so he's just really going through it. But you get so many fun dynamics between the other New Gods and the Heroes of Earth and everything. It's so cool. You starting to see how maybe some of the greater plans and how this connects to other stuff in the DC universe is starting to come together. Yep. And the final page is just a tearjerker, but in a good way. It's continues to it's pretty much always neck and neck with that and Absolute Batman for my favorite book that DC's putting out. What about you?
New Avengers was good. Battle Beast continues to be great. You mentioned G.I. Joe before we started taping, so it's a big week. It's a really good week. I'm very excited about it because I still have I read a ton. I've still got a bunch left to read, so very exciting. All right, so just real quick then, the elephant in the room. We went and we each saw Superman. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Just
thumbs up.
Your quick reaction. So, what were the elements that you were hoping for that it followed through with?
So the big thing that I was really excited to see, because you got a bit of that from like the trailers and everything, was just like how like were the actual like character dynamics with each other, and I think they really did a good job of that. Like I love that this is the most of like any of the Luthors we've had where like he's just like, no, I hate this man. I hate, like they're like the bit where near the like during one like the final like conflicts where he's just like yelling that one thing over and over again.
Yeah,
is like such a good bit from him.
Yeah, it was a great monologue.
Yeah, David Cornsweet he might be my favorite Superman just in general. Just he's able to simultaneously like have like this kind of like more like old school like aw shucks thing going on, but like it never feels like he's like out of place. Like he still feels like very moderate. Like there's a great bit about like if he's like too online or not. Like,
yeah.
Like they're like he just like does such a good job of just conveying really everything I want. Like all the side characters, even the ones who like I wish had gotten like more screen time here or there. Like whenever they do get to show up, they're always great. Like whether it's like some of the cast at the Daily Planet or some of the other like superheroes that show up. It was always shocking to me that there were people who were like concerned about Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner, and then it's just like you watch the movie and it's just like, how could anyone have been concerned this wasn't going to turn out great? Like,
how could anyone else play Guy Gardner as well?
Yeah.
You know, it was exceptional. So I went with Troy and Ryan, and coming out of it, we all three were saying like, man, the casting could not have been more on point. And the chemistry and dynamics between all of them, the Luthor Superman dynamic was by far the best that anybody has ever done. I just feel like Luthor on at least a bigger scale, they just have not ever figured out before, and this was perfect. And like perfect Luthor.
And there's like stuff I like about their dynamics from like some of the other films. Like I like in the original 78 movie that like to Luthor, like you see like Superman is like an obstacle to his goal, but he's also like he kind of takes it as a challenge. Like, oh, if I'm like the greatest of humanity, I should like pit myself against the great. Like, there's a certain fun dynamic, but like it's very like impersonal, and like it does kind of become more personal as those movies go on. But those movies always just get worse as they go on.
Right.
I don't know if that's a hot take for any.
Well,
of you,
I mean, he's smarmy, but that gave kind of the launching point for John Byrne to create this kind of master of industry and wealth Lex Luthor that we all are kind of familiar with now.
And then like the other live action ones after that, like, well, they might have like their moments. Like neither are like much to write home about for this or the other reason, but
I think he sunk his teeth in more than anybody else really ever cared to.
Yeah,
he wanted to be a really great Lex Luthor.
Like the interrogation scene, and he's just like, well, I thought this was going to last longer. Just like, it's just like
that was amazing.
Oh,
that was so good.
Yeah, like
I mean, horrible.
Because there's one scene, because there's a scene from the first trailer that's part of that, and at the time it was just like, oh, what's happening here? And you get to that scene, and it was like, oh, okay, sure, man. Like
there was so much. And visually I just felt like it was really good. So I was talking to another, there was a regular of ours that was at the showing that I was at, and then he was in yesterday, and we got to kind of recap what we thought of it. And he said it was really fun to go to a DC movie where it wasn't depressing.
No, it's funny. I saw a couple of our regulars because I saw it Friday night, and there were a couple there already. I know a bunch of other people that come here, I have seen it or were planning on seeing it unless I talk to them. So
first time in a long time I've heard people say this, I want to go back and watch this in the theater again.
What I want to do is I've heard from a couple of people, because a lot of it was shot with IMAX cameras. I want to go see it in IMAX, and just because those flight scenes I have to imagine are spectacular.
I hope it stays in theater. They're so quick to pull the plug on showings. I hope that it stays in theaters.
I hope
figure that out.
I hope that they notice that this has like very real legs and are just let it like go for a bit.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, it's just fun to see. People were saying the superhero genre is dead, and I think it's more a matter of the superhero genre had gotten tired.
Yeah,
and there just was not much enthusiasm or vision in a lot of the products that we were getting, and this kind of shows people like, genre doesn't really matter. It's the quality of the film, and James Gunn really breathed life into this thing.
Well, it's interesting when you say product, because I think that's part of it too, is like a lot of times it would feel like, oh, they're just putting another like product out. Whereas this like...
slop for the masses.
Yeah. Whereas like this, like, because often a lot of times with these movies, you can tell like, oh, they're shoving like a bunch of characters in here because it's like a corporate mandate thing that's like...
we need action figure sales, which is dumb. Nobody sells action figures at the levels that they did.
No, yeah. Because like, and that's why you always get stuff like, oh, Spider-Man 3 is like 3 different villains. Like,
right.
Batman Robin is like 3 different villains. Where like, here it feels like there's all these different characters are in there specifically because like, oh, James Gunn just really likes them and wants them in his movie. Like, it doesn't feel like it's a corporate mandate thing. It feels like, oh, he just really likes like Mr. Terrific and Hawk Girl, and like it doesn't everything about this movie, even like the parts where like maybe it doesn't like work or is paced weird or whatever, like it never feels like Gunn isn't like insanely excited to be doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Mr. Terrific stole all the scenes he was in.
The fact that they've already like, there's already rumors that they're discussing like spin-off stuff for him and like Jimmy Olsen and like all these like they like
the Jimmy
Olsen stuff is great. Yeah.
So real quick, last thing, I loved how you can tell James Gunn has read a lot of different Superman stories, because there were like threads from all of these other different stories and points in time in these characters' history that he was pulling from. So the whole, I don't want to give any of it away, but there was stuff for Jimmy Olsen. There was, and even there's a scene where the Daily Planet crew is all having to get together and go somewhere. And I swear I have read almost that exact scenario. And it was just really cool to see somebody actually, like, you're not ever going to take a single source material and adapt it perfectly. The best that you can do is take elements from a bunch of different ones and create a story that works on the big screen. And they did that exceptionally.
Especially when it's from a work that's basically just been a constant game of telephone for like 80 years. So it's like, you're constantly having to kind of like sift through and like find certain things that work well together.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we've gone on long enough and then some.
Yes.
So we'll have to save something for next week. We'll be back next week. Until then, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, share. Get on into your local comic shop and buy some comic books and get some reading done yourself. Let us know what it is that you're reading that you're really enjoying. If you had thoughts about Superman in the theaters, let us know about those. And if you're excited about Fantastic Four coming out, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah, they've got, if you go up to the Cinemark, they've got a Galactus popcorn bucket for $80. It looks super cool. Its eyes light up.
$80?
It's a very cool looking popcorn bucket.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. All right. Well, we will be back next week with more Pulp Picks. Until then, enjoy the reading.
What? What?